Grand Rising. If you're in the UK, if you're in Africa, if you're on that side of the globe, good afternoon. If you're in the United States, it's very, very early. If you're on the west coast of the United States, you're not even up yet, so you'll see this later. But I wish you all a grand rising. And why? Why am I up so early? Why has Yahweh seen fit to wake me up extra early? You see, this is going to be a rough one. Grand rising to all of you. I'm so glad that some of you stop what you're doing just to tune in. This is going to be a rough one, y'all. It's going to be a rough one. If you know anything about what I do, and yes, I'm waving at everybody today, I like to greet all of my friends, all of my students, all of my supporters, all of those who thirst for knowledge and freedom. Let me also acknowledge, yet not welcome, my enemies, my haters, my detractors, the cowards, the people filled with self-hatred, the people living in denial, the people with an inferiority complex, the people with a guilt complex. You see, I acknowledge you because you look at this face and you ask yourself, how did we miss him? How did we not get him in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s or the 90s, even into 2000s? And now, in this new decade, how did we miss him? Well, we need to fix that. My brothers and sisters, people close and far, you know, there's a scene in the movie Malcolm X, played by Denzel Washington, that was done by Spike Lee. Excellent movie. They didn't want to give him any awards. There's a scene in the movie when Malcolm X is sitting in his dressing room, preparing to go out and give what will be his last speech. And everybody that said they had his back, and everybody who claimed that they supported him, and all the people that were quick to jump on board, they pulled out on him one by one. I remember that scene when he gets out of his car and he knows that this is probably going to be it for him. But he still goes into the building. Y'all listening to me? And there was a lady who told him, don't pay them fools, no, never mind. You keep on doing what you're doing. And he goes on into the building. And then he goes into his dressing room. He tries to call everybody, and everyone is canceling on him, and nobody wants to be there. But he still stayed there. And even though he knew that they were going to kill him. He still went out there. He tried, and they killed him. And I used to think to myself, why would you walk into something that you know you're not going to come back from, even when the writing is on the wall? If I had to give my morning mental a title, it would be just that. When the writing is on the wall. You see, when I started all of this 5 years ago and nothing changed, yeah, we had a lot of dramatic moments. Yeah, there was a lot of incredible photo ops. Yes, there was some huge marches. Yes, there was crying and wringing of hands and bold speeches and people talking about we gonna change everything. And there was a lot of politicking going on, and there were people who were trying to cement their position in history, and there were other people who was trying to use their money to control the situation. Me, I genuinely wanted things to change. Grand rising to you. Very early morning mental. So, but I could never understand why Malcolm did what he did. And when things got stupid, when the focus was shifted away from what we were trying to fix, I stepped back. But the whole time that I was out there doing those things, it never occurred to me that anyone would kill me. I guess I was fearless, maybe a little bit naive, or maybe I was just functioning on my emotions. But the reason that I never felt that way was because no one perceived me to be a threat. No one perceived me to be a leader. No one perceived me to have any type of impact on the collective mental consciousness of melanated people and some white folks worldwide. When you make an impact on the world, there are certain people who take notice. Some of those people are not happy about that. Some of those people, they love when you make local waves because they can absorb that. But if you make global waves, they pay attention because it means you have the power to change not only your own world, but theirs too. You see, you can have all the nuclear bombs you want. You can have all the guns. You can have all of the explosives and chemical weapons. You can have all of the biological weapons. You can have every weapon in the world. But the one weapon that there's no defense against are unified human beings, all on the same accord, all wanting the same thing. There's no weapon that you can throw at them that will stop them. The reason being is because thought is more contagious than COVID-19. So we set a thought into the ether and it spread around the world. And there's nothing that can be done now to stop that. Some people say that I lit that spark. Okay, but I didn't come to light a spark. I came to enlighten, to liberate, repatriate, and give restitution to a group of people that no one has done it before successfully. And look at the world in the space of 1 month. In the space of 1 month, we have changed the entire paradigm. But there can be no glory. There can be no award without a sacrifice. There has to be a sacrifice. People started telling me, you're the sacrifice. You're going to be the sacrifice. And I said, no, I'm not going to be a sacrifice, because I'm not going out like the rest of them. I learned my lessons from history. That's what I said. And I said, because I'm never going to put myself in a position where I'm the sacrifice. And then Yah said to me, I predestined you before I brought you into this world. I brought you here for a reason. And when you serve that reason, then I will say, servant, job well done. If you don't know the meaning of the term writing on the wall, it refers to a story in scripture where there was a prophecy of something that was going to happen. I'm not going to dig into too much detail. Y'all know the story. Research it yourself. But there was a king who wanted his dream interpreted, because back in those days, there was always someone around you who could sit with you and listen to your dream, which made no sense to you, and they would tell you what the dream meant. And the king always kept somebody close to him, because he knew that Yah communicates through dreams. The Creator communicates to you through dreams and visions. Prophecy is nothing more but a memo that I'm giving to you of something that's going to happen. Not might happen, will happen, because it is written that when Yahweh speaks, his words never return to him unfulfilled. You might have to go around the Tom, Dick, and Harry's barn to get there, but it always happens. Some people don't know how to read the writing on the wall. And I used to always think as a child that I never understood why people like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and all of these other folks who tried to step up for their people didn't see the writing on the wall and got killed. You know, they say you never know what's going to happen until it happens. Never say what you gonna do until it happens. Now I've come to the place in my life where I realize they saw the writing on the wall and they still stepped into the fire. This is what separates kings from subjects. This is what separates a mouthpiece from a warrior. This is what separates you walking in your true purpose and you know, just doing something because it's fashionable or it's what everyone else is doing. When all of this first started and I started coming before you, there were a lot of you that were writing things like protect him. Oh, we got to make sure we protect him. Oh, y'all make sure y'all get some security around him. Don't y'all let nothing happen to that bruh. That's what everybody said at first. And I was like, yeah. I was all for that. I didn't see the writing on the wall. Grand risings to you all. Very early morning mental. And into the fire, you have to go. Well, I guess the part that I didn't see coming was that I never realized that my own people would sacrifice me into the fire because they're comfortable where they are. And they'll fight just as hard to stay there as we'll fight to get out of there. You see, you're smart. You follow me enough to know that I don't talk like the average brother. I don't think like the average brother. My intelligence is above average brother. My spiritual connection is above the average brother, which means I am rare. I'm like a unicorn. I'm like something that you only encounter once or twice in your life. And the reason that Yah allows you to encounter people like us is that we are a reminder of what you are and what you could be. My blood is as red as yours. My melanin is just like yours. My brain cells and my organs are just like yours. The difference is the soul that inhabits this body, the living life force energy that flows throughout this container is not like a lot of yours. So you would sit back and you would plot and you would say, we can't stop him, so we will kill him. This morning, I want to share some ironies and some coincidences that kind of tell you who I am or who maybe I don't know who I am. November 22nd, 1963, in Dallas, Texas, President John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated. They blew his head off in plain view of the world. They wanted to send a message. JFK was not a part of the political machine of America. He was not a crook. His father was, but he was not a crook. He really believed in the principles. He really believed in equality, even for black folks. He was really trying to live up to these lofty words that are written in the Constitution. Just like around the world, you all live under some piece of paper that guarantees that you're doing something lofty. He wouldn't play along. I remember they said that John Kennedy, they thought it was an act, that he was acting like he cared. And then that once he got into the White House, it would be business as usual, and they could continue Jim Crow and, all this other stuff, and continuing to hide the fact of the brutalization they had done to African Americans and not having to atone for slavery and, all of those things. Let's keep that going as they continue to profess. Let's tell everybody we're the most powerful country on earth. Let's tell everybody that we are the guardians of freedom when you enslave somebody. We are those people. But JFK was not about that life. JFK was really about trying to make us great for everyone. And they killed him for it. You've seen the Zapruder film. They blew his head completely off. They made sure that they destroyed the soul that was there. John Fitzgerald Kennedy had a wife. Her name was Jacqueline. Yes. And she sat there right next to her husband when his head exploded onto her pink outfit. She tried to crawl out the car because she thought they were going to shoot her next. There are many theories and conspiracies about who killed JFK, but the consensus is it was the U.S. government along with some other folks. That's nothing new. John Fitzgerald Kennedy had a brother by the name of Robert Kennedy, who was the Attorney General at the time. And he too believed in the same thing that his brother did. So he decided to run for president too. They shot him in the head too, killed him. I'm named after John F. Kennedy. My name is John Fitzgerald Johnson. John Kennedy was succeeded by Lyndon B. Johnson as the President of the United States. What I'm about to tell you, I'm not making up. This is a fact. My first wife's name was Jacqueline. When I married Jacqueline, she already had a son. His name was Robert. My last name is Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson. He followed JFK. But I asked my mother one day, you have my maiden name. She's what she said. I said, well, what is my father's last name? She said his name was King. Everything about my name alone is steeped in coincidence. Or is it? And everything about my life seems to be nothing but a series of coincidences that are tied to a period in time when we thought we were about to get everything fixed. And everybody who came along in that time died at the hands of people who were afraid to atone for what they had done to us, Black people. I did not know about these coincidences until I was much older. As a matter of fact, somebody else pointed it out to me. It was rather shocking to me, but I just chalked it up as a coincidence because I felt that there could never be another time like the 60s. I always felt like, well, I just happened to land in this coincidence with these names, and I just happened to be named after this man, and the writing on the wall. We roll the clock ahead 55, 60 years later, and we find ourselves in the same situation. We find ourselves globally dealing with the same type of racism, abuse, and brutalization that they dealt with in the 60s. And we find ourselves surrounded by people who have placed themselves in power over us, who have the same mentality as those people did in the 60s. People, if they will blow the head off of the President of the United States in front of the entire world, they won't hesitate to blow the head off of somebody who comes along and attempts to change things for the better, who is not sitting in a seat of power. Activists have been killed simply for speaking out. Women have been assassinated simply for rising to a level of influence that they could change the social structure. But I believed in 2020 that we had arrived in a place where something like what happened in the 60s could never happen to us again because you wouldn't let it happen. You would protect whoever came to your defense. You see, when I think of the movement, when I think of fighting for everyone's rights, when I think of wanting to change the world for the better, what comes to mind to me is a podium with a microphone and a big bullseye behind it. And they always dare someone to step up there and try. Because sooner or later, someone's going to take a shot at you. For those of you all who've never served in the military, who don't understand the military, who say, oh, I would never join the military because I don't want nobody to tell me what to do. The trick to joining the military is not being able to let someone tell you what to do. It's being comfortable with the idea that you're willing to give your life for what you believe in, that you are willing to die for what you believe in. You may change your mind later in life, but at that moment, you're ready to die for what you believe in. You have to still have the same bravery and courage and fortitude, but you know that you're going to die for what you believe in. You see the writing on the wall and you are ready to walk into the fire. Problem is, grand rising to everybody. Salute to all my comrades in arms, soldiers, Marines, seamen, airmen, and everyone else around the world who has had to make that choice, that I'm willing to die for what I believe in, for the betterment of all. I think that it was Mr. Spock, the character in Star Trek, that summed it up the best when he said, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. But I think what he said most importantly at the end, he says, I have been and I always will be your friend. Oh, we didn't like that, did we? They killed Spock. Y'all remember the uproar behind that? They had to come back and make another movie to bring him back from the dead. That's how bad it was. But, and I say that to lighten the mood, because I know y'all somebody got a tear rolling out their eye right now and what's going on and all of that. That's cool. If you're just joining the Morning Mental, it's extra early this morning because y'all woke me up extra early. And I know there are people who are listening like, I don't understand what's going on. We know. So, and this is really heavy for me, so I got to push through this. I need y'all to stay with me, hold me up as I make it through this one. It's a rough one. Coincidences, luck, chance, perhaps. There are no such things. Whatever happens is supposed to happen. The footsteps of the righteous are ordered by Yah. Every step you take, every decision you make or don't make, the things that you eat or don't eat, the people you sleep with or choose not to sleep with, everything is played out to a grand design. And sometimes he'll give you a peek of that design so that you can kind of get fixated on where you are. Or sometimes it's to let you know that I've chosen you for a great purpose, but you're going to have to die to achieve your goal. People said that I need to be protected. People said, don't y'all let nothing happen to this one. The people that said that look like me, and they might look like you because they remember history. But the people who said, oh, we got to kill him, or I don't like this shit at all. I don't like this at all. The people who will help them to get you, the people who will set you up, the people who will just to make a name for themselves look like me and they look like you. I had hoped that things were different. I had asked, yeah, are things going to be different this time? They're going to be different? And he looked at me and he said, no, as a matter of fact, it's going to be worse. Well, here's where we get to the good part. As we look at the fire, not go into the fire, but we're looking at the fire. I studied history and I said to myself, if they knew they were going to die, if they knew that this was it, and they knew they were going to walk into it, would they at least put up a fight? Would they at least let the people know so that the people would have a chance to try to defend them? Or would they say it is better that I die a martyr and my messages become books for you than it would be for us to put up a fight? Accepting the fact that you're going to die doing what you feel is right and accepting it is a very interesting feeling, my friends. Yesterday was Juneteenth, and I spent all day talking to people around the world about what it really meant. If you saw any of those, they're up. I even did an interview in South America, and I spoke to the continent of South America, multiple countries at the same time. And then I still did facts over feelings. And by the time I got to the end of the day, I was tired. I was spiritually tired. I was physically drained. It takes a lot out of your soul to do this. And I heard y'all say to me, rest. Stop. Rest. And so I did. And I was awakened very, very early, way before I normally rise. I was awake, and I couldn't understand why. Why have you awakened me so early? And I could feel it in my soul. And I began to read messages that were coming to me. And I began to look at things that were being sent to me. The more I read, the more it became apparent to me that they're going to kill me. And they're making plans right now as we speak. Oh, don't be surprised. The difference is technology makes it so that information travels very fast. They didn't have this in the 60s. This is the difference. They intend to kill me. And they're not hiding the fact that they are. I even know where it's going to happen. So I have to ask myself a question. I now find myself in the same room that Malcolm X sat in when you watched the movie. I now understand why he did what he did. I could never understand why he would go out there knowing they were going to kill him, because Malcolm understood that even in death, his message would not be erased. His message would not be changed. Even though they tried to vilify him and paint him out to be some violent radical, when in fact the people who were violent radicals were the ones who wanted him dead. Even though he spoke truth to power, he still understood that after he left his physical being, as today, his message still resonated. Martin recognized the same thing. Stokely understood the same thing. Huey understood the same thing. And every activist around the world that has stood up for the people, that knew that if you kill me, my message will still live on. And maybe somebody will act on it as a blueprint. So he woke me up early this morning so that I could see and that I could choose. I could have been a coward and run away and say, ooh, I'm not really about that. I just said I was. A lot of you all watch my videos. A lot of you all said that I've awakened you. A lot of you have said that I've given you hope. Some of you have said that I've awakened your warrior spirit. And to some of you, all you see is your own self-consumed hatred, your own self-consuming jealousy, your own self-consuming envy, your own self-consuming anger. You don't want anyone to fix anything because you love being miserable. You like playing the victim. So anybody that comes along that can change that, you hate them for that. Apparently, I'm no different. But here's what's different. I am going to give you all something that they didn't give you. You see, Malcolm knew he was walking into the fire and he chose to walk into it. Martin knew that the fire could get him and he still stood there. In both of these great men, I've always had this one thought. I wonder what was going through their minds when they got shot, because they knew they were dying. I wonder if they realized that this is how you write your legacy in history. Into the fire. My morning mental. If you watch my videos, I would encourage you to get copies of them. They will become your holy grail, so to speak. But I'm going to give you something that they didn't give you. I don't believe that you all will let them kill me. I don't. I believe that if I walk into the fire, that you all will walk into it with me and won't let them kill me. Because if they do, and I've told you this, then you did let them kill me. Someone is tuning in like, what is all this talk about him dying? What is going on? You have to understand the history of the United States. You have to really know the history of Europeans. You have to understand that this is not something that started in 2020. This is not something that started in the 60s. This is something that has been going on for centuries. And now it looks like I'm the next one to be the sacrificial lamb. You've been hearing me talk about the formation. You've been hearing me talk about our need to arm ourselves and fight back. You've been hearing me talk about speaking to power and not being afraid to fight them. I'm going to do something that they didn't do. I'm going to be transparent with you. It has been brought to my attention that the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, has opened an investigation on me. Why? I'm not a resident of Georgia. That they are investigating everything about me. Why? And that if I set foot in Georgia, if I come to the formation, that I will be killed, even though it'll look like an accident, even though they'll have someone probably that looks like me to kill me. And don't think that this is a rumor. I have well-placed people in very high places who are very loyal to what we all believe in. The GBI, the same agency that is doing the investigation into the Ahmaud Arbery case, the same agency that is investigating so many things around the state of Georgia now, that are acting like they're the champion of justice, has opened an investigation into a private citizen who has exercised his constitutional right to bear arms, to speak freely and openly, and to stand for his people. That they have already said that he comes here, we're going to kill him. I don't believe that you all would let that happen if you knew about it up front. Because if you do, then everything I've said, every video I've ever made, every thought that I've triggered in your mind, every spirit that I have awakened, every word that Yah has allowed me to speak to your soul, it was all for nothing. People have called me and said, don't come, stay away. They're going to kill you. They're going to do you the same way they did the person you're named after. Walk into the fire. If you're just joining us on the Morning Mental, you know they're blocking me. Those are the same people that want to kill me. You know, if you're just tuning in and you didn't get the alerts, or your reception is being messed up, or you cannot comment, it's because those are the same people that want to kill me. You see, it's not just the GBI that wants me dead. It's white people, racist, inferiority complex having, white privilege, white supremacists who want me dead. Why? Because I'm waking up an army. I'm waking up a sleeping giant. And I don't have a problem leading that giant to undo almost 800 years and 2,000 years of lying religiously, 800 years, centuries of human rights violations around the world. So they want to kill me. And I had to ask myself a question. And the question is, seriously, would I die for you? I've had a great life. I've done things that most people would never get a chance to do. I've been places and been witnesses to things that have been historic. And I've seen things that most people will only read about. So I've had a great life. This episode in my life now, I didn't see coming. But I'm glad I'm here for it. So when I look in the mirror, I don't see me. I see you. And I ask myself, would you die for them? Yeah, I would. And I will. If I die, you let me. When I come to the formation in Atlanta, they're going to make it look like someone else did it. But I'm letting you know up front, they intend to assassinate me in Atlanta, Georgia. And yes, GBI, you have people in your ranks too who will turn on you and let me know what you're up against, what you're up to. And I'm pretty sure the order did not come from the governor of Georgia. It had to come from someplace much, much higher. You see, the GBI only has jurisdiction in Georgia. But to investigate a private citizen who's not a resident would require national assistance. You all remember that we had this talk. You all can sit there on here and say, we will protect you. But every great leader or every person that stood up, especially for black folks, has been assassinated by the very same people that intend to assassinate me. And I am telling you this up front so that you either protect me or be complicit in my death. I'm not afraid to walk into the fire. And even when the bullet hits me, or bullets hit me, or the knife is in my back, or the poison is in my food, but I know they're going to make this a public spectacle because they want to scare you all back to sleep. Even though I don't think that's what will happen. I think that they killed the white John Fitzgerald and you all hurt over that. But if they killed this John Fitzgerald, I think that we would have our first global riot. And, you know, it's a sad day when you can still say in the 21st century that the Ku Klux Klan can go and they can get permits and march around with flags and guns, and the police protect them and escort them because they're them. But black people still cannot exercise the same rights. And if you are still so blind that you cannot see that it's never going to change by marching and talking, then you may as well stop protesting about it and go on ahead and take your position at the kiddie table. Malcolm X said that there's no revolution without bloodshed. If my blood is what it takes, then my blood is what I'll give. But I want you all to know up front, they said they're going to kill me. That the state has said they're going to kill me. There is going to be a march in Oklahoma this Saturday, an open carry march by black folks, because it is their right. It's breaking news right now, but it's never breaking news when the white militia wants to carry their weapons. It's never breaking news when the white militia shows up at the protests. But when black folks who have been maligned, who have been enslaved, who have been raped, who have had genocide committed against them by the Arabs, the Caucasians, and everybody else, that when we try to stand up, y'all want to keep us down. And so y'all send someone, and it's my own people that want to crucify me. So like Malcolm, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk out there and I'm going to say grand risings to you. And I'm going to say shalom to you. And I'm going to say as-salam, and then the bullets are going to hit me. When that happens, don't do that. Don't scream and cry if you're not ready. If you're not ready to fight for me. I cannot believe that I am such a threat. But then again, I can. Because I've learned to read the writing on the wall. The difference is I'm going to tell you what it says and I'm going to show it to you too. Because I love you all. That's all. No more, no less. That's why I don't accept money. I don't ask for any. Oh, they went and checked that out. Well, we'll get them on this. They can't. I don't beg for money. Oh, well, we'll get them on, well, everything is legal. Well, we'll just kill them. That's our solution, which is, of course, the mind of a barbarian, the mind of a wild man, the ones that they wrote about. So I would say to you, think about what I've just told you. And I'll lay the challenge out there to all my brothers and sisters that will come to Atlanta to protect me. If they want to get me, you all have to make it almost impossible. Otherwise, make sure you get a front row seat, because this won't be a movie this time. It will be a murder and an assassination that they told you about in advance. And maybe then you'll understand what I was trying to tell you, because most people don't listen to you until you're dead. So I'm not a coward, and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything, but I'm not stupid either. If my own people won't protect me, then what am I fighting for? That's my morning mental for this morning. It's not easy going into that good night, but I'd rather go into that good night standing on my own, standing for something, It's kind of like my man Killmonger said, bury me in the ocean with the rest of my ancestors. Well, I'm the same way. I'd rather die standing there telling us what we need to do, standing there with what I think is the beginnings of a black army, standing there speaking to power, than to be hiding somewhere, just commenting on social media. I'd rather be standing in front of my own people and let that be the last thought that I have. I am not surprised. History is truly repeating itself. So I bid you a good morning. Share this video. All of this will become historic soon, real soon. I just think my people are better than that. I really do. And I hope you are. But history has a way of repeating itself. It's my morning mental. You try to have a great day. Think about what I said. And in the words of the late great Nipsey, if they do kill me, y'all better burn this bitch to the ground. Everywhere. Shalom.